Well, the future of modern warfare is like any other industry. Technology will play a big role. Last week, more than 1,000 researchers, including Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking, signed a letter to the UN asking for a ban on the development and use of autonomous weapons or killer robots.
They're sounding the warning bells. Charles, good to see you. We're talking about not decades, but just a few years from now. They're warning that killer robots will be unleashed, artificial intelligence, and their real concern is autonomous warfare. And what does that even mean? Where do we draw that line? And what's interesting is they're drawing the line in that it's any sort of weapon, because we're using a lot of robots as it is and drones, as you know now. They're drawing the line if it's any weapon that does not require a human to execute that payload or make that fire or do whatever it's going to do that's deadly. That is where they're drawing the line, saying that's a huge problem, that it's going to spawn a race, an arms race of these killer type of robots, that terrorists will start doing it because, A, the cost of entry is very low, and the materials are readily accessible. It's not like a nuclear warhead that requires a great deal of money and at the same time is very difficult to get all of the components to a nuclear warhead to put it together. So we don't have that kind of concern for terrorists, but we do have a huge concern about everyday people with very bad intentions being able to do this. And as soon as it starts, the concern of this group is that everyone else will just pile on, and now all of a sudden artificial intelligent robots will be running the world of wars.
Former President Obama taking on fake news, except turns out it is not really President Obama in this PSA. This is a clear example of technology that could become more widely used. And ABC's David Wright is here with more. David, this video is proof that we can't believe everything that we see online.
That is right, Paula. Good morning. They say that the camera never lies, but technology is advancing so fast that it can lie with greater and greater effectiveness. And that's the point of this new video from Jordan Peele.
Our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
Former President Barack Obama, right?
So, for instance, they could have me say things like, I don't know, Killmonger was right.
Wrong.
You see, I would never say these things, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele.
Comedian Jordan Peele actually produced this video to warn about the future of fake news. The technology uses sophisticated artificial intelligence tools able to turn familiar faces, even presidents, into puppets.
Now there is software that can be purchased and done at home, and within a few days you can manufacture what someone says in a video.
Most people use it for harmless fun, like inserting Nicolas Cage into movies where he doesn't belong. But it can be scary stuff. Recently, hackers took this image of Parkland High School senior Emma Gonzalez tearing up a gun range target for Teen Vogue. They manipulated it to come up with a clip that appeared to show her tearing up the Constitution instead.
United Nations wrapping up its first official meeting today on weaponized robots that can identify and destroy targets without human control. 22 nations today demanded a ban on them, and scientists warn that a new kind of war is coming as militaries around the world pour money into robot weapons. Now the Atlas humanoid robot from Boston Dynamics, seen jumping off of boxes and nailing backflips in an intense Olympic-style gymnastics routine. Joining me now is cybersecurity expert with Hotspot Shield, Robert Siciliano. Good to see you, Robert. Should we be concerned by the progress of robots like this?
Without a doubt, yeah. You know, it wasn't too long ago that planes bombing required humans. Now we have autonomous drones that essentially are doing the work for us. What's it going to take for those same drones to determine the actual target and in some cases make mistakes?
A company called Hanson Robotics is also creating a lifelike robot it calls Sophia. It can see people's faces, process conversational and emotional data. And you know what? It can use this to form relationships with people. I mean, this is getting kind of weird, Robert. Is there going to be a time when we can't tell who's a human and what's a robot?
Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back.
In a largely conservative Christian country, the voters have spoken. For the first time in history, Filipinos have elected their first transgender person to the House of Representatives, also known as Congress. Geraldine Roman is 49 years old. After years working as a news editor in Spain, she returned to the northern province of Bataan to look after her aging parents and to carry on their political legacy. The newly elected Congresswoman will take up a seat previously held by her mother.
At the start, my opponents were trying to convert my gender into an issue. But it turns out that the people don't mind, and people look beyond the gender and they look at what you have to offer, what's in your heart. That is what is most important thing.
It's the dramatic end to a competitive and controversial weekend for Mac Beggs. The 17-year-old Dallas area high school student won the title of champion in the girls' state wrestling competition Saturday. A mix of cheers and boos directed at the wrestler as he fell to his knees, appearing to soak in the wind. Many in the audience feel Beggs has an unfair advantage on the road to victory. Beggs is a transgender athlete, born a girl, transitioning to become a boy. He takes testosterone injections to make that transition happen. Many believe that provides the young wrestler with an added competitive edge. His strength and agility are hard to miss on the mat.
So there's a big issue right now, right? And I think if he has been taking hormones or steroids, he should be wrestling boys.
That can't happen, though, according to the University Interscholastic League, which oversees public high school athletics. Current UIL rules state boys may not wrestle against girls and vice versa, and gender shall be determined based on a student's birth certificate. For Beggs, that means he's got no choice but to wrestle girls.
Apparently is the latest in artificial intelligence from China. It's the virtual newsreader, and it's been unveiled by the Chinese state news agency Xinhua, which it claims reads text as naturally and professionally as a professional newsreader.
As naturally as he just read that, too, but this is the real guy.
The China Railway Express, known as the China-Europe Freight Train, has completed its 10,000th trip.
And this is the AI version.
Hello, everyone. I'm an English artificial intelligence anchor. This is my very first day in Xinhua News Agency.
We're dead, Michael. They're coming for our jobs.
Hello, world! At TayNU's First Words, 8:14 Wednesday morning. Promising, the more you talk, the smarter Tay gets. Microsoft designed Tay's software to mimic the speech patterns of 18 to 24-year-olds. Tweet to Tay, and the bot tweets you back. But it did not take long for internet trolls to poison Tay's mind. Soon, Tay was ranting about Hitler. One Twitter follower asking, "Did the Holocaust happen?" Tay replied, "It was made up." Launching racist and anti-feminist attacks, some of them so rude we can't even show you them. One critic tweeted, "Microsoft, you didn't anticipate this?" Said another, what did they expect it would learn from social media? Parents, take note.
You build the Frankenstein monster and you have to control it once it's out in the public. You have to have filters in place to make sure that these bots are being respectful to the community that you're unleashing them on.
But hang on, we've seen this movie before, right?
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Whether it's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Or War Games.
Shall we play a game?
Oh. Shouldn't we know this never ends well? Less than 16 hours after Tay's birth.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Microsoft's shiny new chatbot was pretty much lost in space. The company in full damage control mode, deleting Tay's most obscene thoughts, pulling the plug. The lesson?
Strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
We ought to pay closer attention to the movies.
Nice shot, Tom.
Do you want to play with us?
You know, I'm off contact sports right now. I twisted my ankle playing running charades, but you two should get ready for dance class, okay? Go. Go, go, go. Tom used to identify as Tina.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't have told me. You know how proud I am of my gender identificator.
Murder's a new trick for a robot.
It's a threat that could change the course of humanity, and it's not what you think.
I'm gonna miss the good old days. What good old days? When people were killed by other people.
Just like the Hollywood film I, Robot, what if machines started developing their own artificial intelligence?
You remember this robot suit from the movie Avatar? Well, a robotics company in Korea has created a real-life version of the thing. Somebody sits inside, take a look, this 13-foot robot, and they control it. Walking on two legs, its hands can grab things. The designer worked on the Transformers and Terminator movies here. Now, some say the robot, it reminds them of this well-known scene from Aliens.
Get away from her, you.
Oh, you remember that one. Well, the inventors hope the robot will one day be used in disaster areas to rescue victims.
A growing number of manufacturers in China are planning to replace millions of human workers with robots. So Chinese factories are responding to a rise in labor costs and greater competitive pressures. Some business leaders believe robots are the answer. With me now, MIT Tech Review senior editor Will Knight. Will, great to see you. Thanks for joining me. So,
thanks for having me.
Other countries are already incorporating robots into the manufacturing process. What scale are you seeing in China?
Right. Well, see, we went out to China to take a look at this, and I mean, it's unprecedented the amount of money that the government is pouring into it, and the amount of effort that manufacturers themselves are putting into this.
Okay, so when Amazon takes over Whole Foods, your purchases may be checked out by a robot.
Really?
What do you think of that?
If they're
fast, sure. So reportedly they're going to reduce the number of cashiers and replace them with a mobile payment system. That would be the same that's used at that experimental Amazon store in Seattle that I'm dying to go to. And also, Amazon might also lower Whole Foods prices to make it competitive with Walmart. Obviously, that's a big reason that this was such a big story last week, is the competition with Walmart.
Be organic food cheaper, essentially, and often delivered. But some of those Amazon Go stores, the ones they're testing in Seattle, they work with just 3 humans in the entire store, 3 human employees.
I like it as a consumer, angle here, but the job losses is actually kind of bothers.
Google shut down its Chinese search engine in 2010. At the time, they said it was because China was attacking free speech. But things have changed. The left doesn't care about free speech anymore. So it was no surprise today to see new reports that Google is building a brand new censored search engine that will allow it to re-enter the Chinese market, will be actively abetting the communist police state there and crushing dissent. Google's behavior doesn't end there, though, in China. Last year, Google opened a major artificial intelligence research center in that country, even though China is aggressively pursuing military uses of artificial intelligence against the United States. Scott Cleland is the author of Search and Destroy, You Can't Trust Google, Inc. He joins us tonight. Scott, good to see you. So if your corporate motto was don't be evil, it seems like helping a communist police state crush dissent would fall into the evil category, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about how can you mess with 1.4 billion people? How can you aid and abet the oppression of the largest country in the world? So it's definitely.
It's hard to believe that a country with the market cap that Google has, the most powerful company in the history of the world, maybe the richest company in the history of the world, would be so desperate for more market share that they would help prop up a police state. But that seems like what they're doing.
Well, what's really interesting is Google is all about power. It wants to be influential and it wants to be everywhere for everything. And so that it can't stand the fact that it's not playing in China, and because it sees 1.4 billion people that it doesn't track and it doesn't know about. And so that's really what they want. They really covet power, and information is power to them. That's what's always scared me about this company is, it makes no sense to centralize all the world's information in one place and controlled by one person.
New worries about robots taking jobs. More than 3 out of 14 say they're concerned about having a successful career because of automation and global competition.
Well, a big change coming to schools in Minnesota. They're putting in place a so-called transgender toolkit, which advises teachers to call students scholars instead of boys and girls, and instead of a prom king and queen, prom ambassadors. Here's the explanation why. They say schools should not assume a student's name or pronoun. When students are referred to by the wrong pronoun by peers or school staff, students may feel intimidated, threatened, harassed, or bullied.
The groundbreaking TV show Transparent is expanding our understanding of gender identity. Jill Soloway is the show's Emmy and Golden Globe winning creator. In the new memoir, She Wants It, Desire, Power, and Toppling the Patriarchy. Soloway shares her journey to identifying as non-binary. Now that means referring to oneself as neither woman nor man and using the pronoun they instead of she or he. Soloway also describes the impact of their father coming out as transgender woman, which is also the basis of Transparent. Jill Soloway joins us at the table. Hey, Jill Soloway.
Yeah.
So I have to confess, you're the first non-binary person that we've had at the table that we know about. So I think we should take it. So I think a lot of people need an education, myself included, because you were born, you called it yourself in the book a straight-bien, a heterosexual, a heterosexual woman.
Yes.
And during the course of your father's coming out,
yes,
father's transgender, you started realizing things about yourself. So what does this mean exactly, non-binary?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It is a very new thing, and it's part of the trans spectrum. So the word trans means bridge, and a lot of people are familiar with people who go from one to the other, assigned male at birth, transition, and identify as female. But there are some people who stay on the bridge and who are, I describe it to people as I'm sort of male, sort of female, sort of both, sort of neither, constantly changing. And I like to say she is fine. When people say she and her, I don't correct them, but when people say they and them, it's like frosting. It's like just an extra, oh wow, I feel seen, which would mean that you guys all see me as not necessarily a woman, not necessarily a man, but
what's wrong with seeing? I mean, I stumbled and bumbled leading to their memoir because I wanted to say her memoir. What's wrong with saying her, he, she? Why is that no longer?
There are some people who feel like that the word she describes somebody who is female, or sometimes somebody who is femme or female presenting. There's certain expectations around she that don't necessarily feel resonant with me.
Yeah.
And same with he. Some people don't really necessarily feel that he describes them. It's more or less a third gender.
Here's what you aren't thinking about. All those apps used to be done by people. You're going to drive up to a fast food restaurant in the next 5 years. It's just going to be a flat screen. You're going to hit a couple of buttons, and there's going to be a window opens up, hands you out your sandwich. There's got to be no people in there. It's just going to be a big robot. Apps, smart screens, robots, they're probably going to wipe out 1 billion jobs. And then what are we going to do? The Democrats say they want more government. God bless you. Republicans say less government. God bless you. The robots are laughing because more government or less government is not going to affect them at all. They are coming to take your job, and nobody's doing anything about it.
First up, we could talk for hours.
Oh,
robots?
Come on.
Some of this video, some people think these robots are a little scary.
Well,
they don't have heads, but it really doesn't matter because it's the future, people.
What's behind the acquisition of Boston Dynamics for Google?
This is the 8th robotics company they bought, so you can see that there is a strategy here for Google. And it's so interesting, some of the things that they're doing, but you look at Boston Dynamics and specifically what this company does, bipedal robots. Look, there are a lot of areas in the manufacturing chain in particular where robots can be a really good solution. For example, stocking trucks, any part of the distribution channel, assembly, electronics, manufacturing assembly, all of these things are ripe for robotics if you can get the right kind. And look, these are the people behind the driverless car, right? It was science fiction, as many have pointed out. It was science fiction, and now it's closer to reality. That is creepy, isn't it? That looks so.
Pull it together.
It's good when you're angry.
But
When your knee goes both ways.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool stuff. I talked recently to this guy named Andrew McAfee at MIT. He said we are on the verge of the next machine area, the second industrial revolution, and it's robots.
It's kind of fascinating because the moves they make and have been making of late, I mean, they definitely have a futurist mentality, right? And one of your comments on Twitter actually spoke to it. You said you'd want one of these to do the housework and collect your mail. Not long ago,
kidding.
remember when
Second
the little Roomba robot that came around? That seems antiquated now when you think about how these new, robots may be used. But it's amazing to think how far we've come in such a short amount of time.
We're just talking about Amazon taking on drones. We're not talking about Google taking on a different type of robot. What is going on?
And that's what we have for you here in this next video. Here, watch this for a second. I'll explain what it is. These are from a company called Festo, and we're looking at a prototype here. These things fly autonomously. No one is telling them exactly where to go. They're made of a bunch of parts, including some helium inside. And these air penguins, they're called, they have navigation and communication that help them explore the area around them and learn it, either on their own or within fixed rules. This is so wild. I was emailing with a company because they talk about practical applications of this technology, and just a few they mentioned maybe someday. Rehabilitation for some people who are disabled, inspection in dangerous environments, helping move things for various industries, all sorts of possibilities for the kind of technology we're seeing there from those flying robot penguins.
There was a lot of rumors being passed, and a lot of whispering and a lot of pointing and laughing. It's kind of hard to explain. It's just I never felt like a female.
Okay, this is happening right now in Denny's and Wilshire, Los Angeles. I'm trying to use the ladies' room right now, ladies' room. And there is a man here saying that he's a lady. So, a few different customers trying to use the restroom, but the guy insists he's a lady.
You guys are harassing me. I'm just using the restroom and
Why you use the ladies'
Invading
room?
my privacy once.
Well, no, you invading my privacy because I'm a woman
I'm in the
and I
toilet.
deserve
How am I
to
invading
use
your
the
privacy?
woman, the ladies'
I'm in
room.
the toilet. I'm in the toilet. How am I invading your privacy? Hello? Hello?
Just give us a second.
Do your homework before you speak.
Just give us a second.
Wait, you violated my right.
Just give us a second.
You're sick, a stupid sick. So that guy violated my right to use a ladies' room here. And he's saying he's a lady. Stupid guy.
Well, it's increasingly accepted, the wisdom of this age is that everybody is allowed to define his or her own identity. Your gender is not determined by your chromosomes. Race is a social construct, not a matter of genetics. Jadu is simply taking that wisdom to its logical conclusion. Born a white male named Adam Wheeler, Jadu now identifies as a Filipina woman and joins us tonight. Jadu, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Tuck.
So I'm not here to mock you, but just to ask you sincere questions. Among them, what does your mom think of this?
Well, you know, she did eventually find out with, you know, all the stories going on about me and about my group. Yeah, she's kind of still trying to come to the realization that I'm not exactly joking.
That you're not joking that you went from being a white man to a Filipina woman.
Well,
I mean,
sorry, I'm sorry for.
So what did she say? Did she accept that?
Well, she saw one of the stories that went on about me, and you know, she came in the door, you know, like hysterically laughing, and I didn't know what was going on. I came downstairs, and she's holding a phone with a video that was made about me on YouTube, and she was just, you know, she was just cackling, saying, this is the best thing ever. And, you know, I can reflect on myself in the third person, and I can see why it's silly, and it is silly.
It sounds like she doesn't take it that seriously.
Yeah, and I take it seriously?
I guess the reason I want to talk to you was, I've always wondered if we are telling kids, or if adults are agreeing that you can change your sex, why not change your race? Why would that be not allowed? Why would we consider that impossible?
Exactly.
When did that occur to you that you wanted to do that?
Well, in short, you know, the Filipino culture just kind of resonated with me, and you know, again, I can see I can look at myself in the third person, and you know, I understand it's silly, and you know, identity issues are issues. You know, it's a very small part of myself, as well as my transsexuality.
My name is Green. What's your name?
Storytime just got super high tech.
Want to play a story game?
Meet the Dragon Bots. These pint-sized robots are the latest creation of Cynthia Brazil and her team at MIT's Personal Robotics Group.
I'm doing blue. You're doing blue. Ooh, hi.
Interactive and expressive, they're called social robots, and they're being tested in classrooms to help young children learn.
Social robots are designed to be partners, you know, to be helpful entities that really engage people, not like a tool that you use, but more like an other that you really feel that you can interact with and collaborate with.
The bots tell stories.
They slid so fast. They landed in a massive snow pile.
Moving into that space too, it's really taking on that cognitive capability. So it's really a new kind of threat.
lived in a world of boys and girls, but that is changing along with everything else in 2017. In Canada, the country directly to our north, the parent of a baby successfully petitioned to have that child given an ID card with no sex listed, insisting that that is for the baby to decide. Things may not stop there. They probably won't. The Gender Free ID Coalition is calling on the Canadian government to eliminate sex and gender classifications for all children throughout that country. Are we ready for a world here where baby boys and girls are replaced by baby somethings? Nell Given-Daly is a psychotherapist, and she joins us tonight. Nell, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you so much, Tucker, for having me. It's a pleasure.
So these are questions that didn't exist like 18 months ago. Homo sapiens have been around 300,000 years, and for the most part, it was kind of obvious who the boys and girls were. But we've decided in a very short period of time that none of that is real, and we're changing it, because why?
I was making cucumber soup in my kitchen, and I was distracted by a flash of blue that streaked by my kitchen window. My son, Samuel, out in the garden, dressed as Cinderella. It was one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen. Now, 2 years ago, that little boy dressed as Cinderella became a little girl. This is my daughter, Sadie Rose Fagan, and we just recently celebrated her 8th birthday. My husband and I were at dinner with some business colleagues of his, and the wife asked, "Do you have photos of your children?" In seconds, I saw that she had found the photo of our little Cinderella. She went, "Is that your son?" "Oh, no, no, you must not indulge your child this way. Our son liked to play dress up too. We did not indulge it. Today, our son is totally normal." Is indulgence the same as permission? I like to think that the permission that we gave Sadie in her early childhood allowed her to feel safe, so that when she did gain the ability to really articulate how she felt, after years of misery, I had a child who was so excited to be celebrating herself. Just look at the joy on her face. It's so pure.
Overnight, an astonishing and dubious claim. A scientist in China saying he created the world's first genetically engineered babies.
Two beautiful little Chinese girls named Lulu and Lala came crying into the world as healthy as any other babies.
The team of geneticists and fertility specialists announcing the so-called breakthrough on YouTube. According to those researchers, they used a controversial gene editing technology to manipulate the twins' data. The purpose? Not to cure or prevent an inherited disease, but something else entirely, supposedly giving these twin girls the ability to resist HIV infection.
A transgender man in Oregon gave birth to a baby boy. He shared his pregnancy on social media in the hopes of changing the stigma surrounding it. An estimated 1.4 million adults in the U.S. identify as transgender, but the government has no documented numbers on transgender men who have given birth. Mireya Villarreal spoke to the family about their journey.
We've got strawberry, tomato.
Baby Leo's life story starts in a familiar place. Feeding, burping, and soothing the 2-week-old already looks like a synchronized routine for his parents, Tristan Reese and Biff Chaplow.
Daddy's getting it. Daddy's getting it. They all have a match.
The couple's family started when they took in and later adopted Chaplow's 1-year-old niece and 3-year-old nephew.
That's the face of pure love.
Leo's birth offers another twist to the plot.
How did this work? I mean, you had transitioned. You were a male.
Reese was born a female but grew up identifying as a male. At 20 years old, he started taking testosterone. Transitioning through hormone therapy alone, he opted not to have surgery. Once the couple decided they wanted to have a baby, the next step was the easy one.